Hey guys, what is up? It's Dusty here, and welcome back to another crypto interview. And today I am very honored to have John Deaton on the show. So, welcome, John. Today we're going to talk a little bit about the Ripple lawsuit and XRP and some fun stuff. So, yeah,
looking forward to it. Thank you for having me.
Glad you could be here. So, John, quick little introduction for the people. Who are you?
Well, I'm a lawyer that's living in Rhode Island. I'm from Detroit, Michigan. Grew up and raised. Have 3 daughters. Not really a securities lawyer. The first securities case I ever got involved with is this case.
Mm-hmm.
I say it as a joke, but it's the truth. After I filed the action against the SEC in January, someone asked me, how long you been practicing securities law? And I looked at my make-believe watch and said, about 2 weeks now.
Really?
I'm a lawyer that's primarily practiced representing people who have been injured by asbestos, mesothelioma, lung cancer, things of that nature. Okay. Been doing that for about almost 20 years. And now I'm involved in the biggest securities case since 1946. So here we are. You never know where life's going to take you.
That's for sure, indeed. By the way, a little bit nervous because I guess the first time the XRP community puts a face to the Dust TVC name. So pretty honored you could be here for that moment. So pretty
well, funny. I'm honored. I was kidding you before we went live and said if I was good looking like you, I would have never hidden it.
Shouldn't say that, man. Thank you very much. Having said that, the Ripple v SEC lawsuit, what we primarily want to talk about, but could you give a little insight about what the case is all about?
Yeah, this case is very unique because the SEC's attempting to do something that it really hasn't done before, and that is take an asset that has been in existence for years and years. In this case, it was in existence for 7.5 years, publicly traded on over 200 exchanges worldwide. Mm-hmm. Coinbase actually went to the SEC and said, hey, we're going to list XRP because we don't think it's a security. In 2019, the SEC didn't say anything to persuade them otherwise. They listed, and then lo and behold, after that, 18 months later, they decide to say that XRP, not just the XRP in the early years, right, when the ecosystem was really much more not as large and expanded, but all XRP, including the XRP that is on Coinbase or Kraken or Uphold or in your wallet, that all of it's a security and should have been registered. And that's very different. Usually what the SEC will do is say that on this particular occasion, Ripple or Bragg Garlinghouse sold and offered, because of the way they marketed and packaged and advertised XRP, that on this specific transaction in this specific year, on this specific day, that was the offer and sell of an unregistered security. And so if the SEC would have sued Ripple and said, between 2013 and 2017, these specific sales constituted unregistered securities, you and I wouldn't be talking right now. That would be something, and maybe they could prove it, maybe they couldn't. But instead, they came out and said all XRP are securities, and then I got involved by suing the SEC, basically to say you can't say that, right? It's like saying the oranges in the Howie case, which involved orange groves that had orange trees. It's like saying the individual oranges that were picked from the tree and sold to the supermarkets, that those were the investment contracts with the Howie company, the security. And so it's really an absurd argument that they're making, but they're making it, and that's why we're talking today.
And in that specific sense, there's also a strangeness, right? Because they sued Ripple, but also CEO and also Chris Larsen, the founder. So how is that, I guess, peculiar here, or how is it, interesting?
No, you're right on point, Dusty. It's very odd, only in the sense, usually the individual executives are sued if the SEC is alleging fraud or misrepresentation, market manipulation, omission of certain facts where they hid things, right? They concealed it, committed some kind of fraud or deceit. That's when usually the executives individually get sued. In this case, they went and they did not allege fraud. After 30 months of an investigation, they found not one instance of fraud or misrepresentation, but they still sued the executives and basically stated that they were reckless in not knowing that XRP is a security,
Yeah.
you know, and that's crazy. And I'll tell you what highlights why that's so crazy and absurd is that all the way up until 2018, if you worked at the SEC, you could own XRP
Yeah.
and not even have to talk about it or disclose it. It wasn't even on a warning list. And so if you're going to allow your lawyers who are prosecuting people to own XRP in 2018, how would Brad Garlinghouse or Chris Larson be reckless to know that it was a security in 2013?
13,
right?
yeah.
And so so it's very odd. It really, and then when you take, Dusty, the fact that it was filed on Clayton's last day, and then you take all the other evidence, it really does look like the lawsuit was used as a weapon, right? That it's not really about securities laws. It's not about protecting investors. We're going to sue them for these other motive reasons, right? These ill-gotten motive reasons or personal gain reasons or vendetta reasons, whatever the reasons are, greed, whatever it is. It wasn't, oh, we need to protect XRP holders.
Yeah, I get that very much. And that's one thing that I see in the community all the time from everybody. Just people asking the question about that, specifically about the conflict of interest between a Gary Gensler, a Jay Clayton. I've read almost any single paper that Digital Asset Investor or you guys via what's your guys' Twitter handle, the law firm?
Crypto law.
Yeah, crypto law.
Crypto
What
law.
You guys, Go ahead. What you guys share on there? I've read almost any single thing. And one thing that also is apparent to me is that it's pretty hard to find that line between what now is really for the people, because every single company, even today I covered it, Robinhood says the rules are not clear. Every single company says it's not clear, yet Gary Gensler comes out and says, well, sounds pretty clear to me. How can you describe, I guess, the conflict of interest that people are always talking about right now? Is there like a summary version potentially?
Yeah, I think the heart of it is the SEC has, in 2018, Bill Hinman got up and he basically gave a speech where he said Ethereum is not a security. He said, if you set aside the fundraising in the early years, that today, and this is 2018, Ethereum was sufficiently decentralized and it's not a security. And then, of course, everyone said, well, what about XRP? Because XRP was number 3. And he said, Bitcoin isn't, Ether's not. But what they wouldn't comment on XRP. And then as they're walking out the door, all of the serious people that were involved in the decision to bring a lawsuit, Jay Clayton, Bill Hinman, Mark Berger, he was director of enforcement, the director of trading and markets, all of those people left. As they're walking out the door, they slapped this lawsuit on Ripple, but also on XRP itself. And so then we started looking into it, and then we learned that Bill Hinman collected $15 million from his law firm while he was at the SEC, and his law firm, Simpson Thacher, is a member of the Enterprise Ethereum Alliance. Then we learned that 2 months before the lawsuit, Jay Clayton, he doesn't go yet, but One River makes a $1 billion bet on Bitcoin and Ethereum. And then Jay Clayton brings the lawsuit against XRP as he's walking out the door. And less than 10 weeks later, he's hired by One River. And then you also learn that Jay Clayton's law firm, Sullivan and Cromwell, represents Consensus and Joe Lubin, who is a co-founder of Ethereum and the founder of Consensus and a competitor to Ripple. They brokered the deal between JP Morgan and Consensus for Quorum, which is the JP Morgan coin, which is a direct competitor to XRP. And then we learned that the Ethereum investors helped write the Bill Hinman speech. And where's Bill Hinman a partner at today? He's a partner with the people that helped write the speech that gave Ether free pass. And so when you put all, this isn't even a conspiracy. This isn't even dot connecting. This is just, here are the facts.
Yeah.
Here are their speeches. Here are their words. And so with the help of Digital Asset Investor and many others.
Yeah, I understand.
I couldn't name them all because if I start naming them, I'll miss somebody, right?
I understand.
We developed all of that hard work and research, and we went on crypto law, and we created a video library where we tagged their Twitter handle where all the videos, and people don't have to take my word. They can go on there and see it in black and white for themselves. And so, as I always said, I haven't ever got on a podcast and said that Jay Clayton or Bill Hinman, need to go to jail because they broke this law or that law. All I keep saying is there is so much of an appearance of impropriety, and there's so many conflicts of interest that it must be investigated, because it certainly appears as though these individuals made decisions based on their own financial interest.
Yeah.
And as they're walking out the door, they not just harmed Ripple, because I don't represent Ripple, but they harmed hundreds of thousands of XRP holders. And that's just something that can't be, it just can't stand. And so we have to keep fighting. And I'm confident that we're going to get, at some point, we'll get an investigation, we'll be ordered to look into these things, and then someone can officially decide whether or not there was criminality involved.
So there's already one investigation going on, right?
I'm sorry, there's not an investigation of the SEC.
So what is that? Okay, so sometimes on Twitter, I do see it come by that there's a certain investigation. Not sure if it's SEC members or I'm not too good with the U.S. laws.
No, I think I think I know what you're talking about. I think you're talking about Empower. It's an organization.
Yeah, exactly.
That sued the SEC because the SEC wouldn't release documents pursuant to the Freedom of Information Act. So that I understand what you mean now by investigation. They've sued them, so they're trying to go into court and basically get the judge to order the SEC to turn over documents.
Yeah, I think
that is happening.
I think they sued him twice even. I saw it recently.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So they are suing the SEC for specific documents. And what is your side of what you're doing against the SEC or for XP holders, I should say?
Sure. Well, the first thing I did was I filed this very uncommon thing. It's called a writ of mandamus, and really it asked the court to order an executive official, i.e. the chairman of the SEC, to do their job. And
can basically, I intervene? Is that Jay Clayton or Gary Gensler at this point?
At the point that I filed it, Jay Clayton had left, so it technically was Elad Roisman, who was the temporary chairman of the SEC for a few weeks. But it basically is asking the judge to order the SEC to amend the complaint, and basically to do what we talked about earlier. I wanted the SEC to just go after Ripple for early sales of XRP during specific days, but don't try to claim that the asset itself, the token, is an unregistered security, because you're harming, hundreds of thousands of individual retail holders of XRP by doing that. And you really don't have a good faith basis to do it. It's not something that you can actually win. And so that was the first thing I filed. They responded by saying that the only court that could hear any of this was the court in the Ripple case. So then I went to that court and I filed a motion to intervene the case, and I asked the judge to appoint XRP holders as a defendant as well, to sit next to Ripple, or in the alternative, if she wouldn't go that far, to grant us amicus curiae status so that we could participate in the case to make sure the judge hears our perspective. not just Ripple's and the SEC's, but our perspective, right? Because there's certain things that, we can't assume that the judges are sophisticated. They're sophisticated women that are in this case, but that doesn't mean they understand digital assets.
Yeah.
Right. For example, I know you know about the Howey case. One of the factors in the Howey analysis is that you have to rely on the efforts of others for your financial benefit, right? Well, XRP holders can stake their XRP on Nexo or Celsius or any of these other platforms and gain interest, right? 4.5% interest on their asset. Or they could use their XRP as collateral to get a fiat loan. So you don't need Ripple. The asset itself allows you to gain a financial benefit. We can't assume that the judge knows that, right? So we have to make sure that the judge is educated on things like that. She has to become aware that some XRP holders acquire XRP not for investment. If you get paid in XRP, right, and then you're not, all the XRP you get, you're using it to buy your groceries, to pay your rent. You're using it as a substitute for fiat. That's a non-investment purpose. Time Magazine, Dusty, accepts XRP. That doesn't mean they hodl that. That doesn't mean they hodl XRP, right?
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean what it means is it's a form of payment. That's all it is. It's an asset. It's a medium of exchange, a form of payment. And the judge needs to know these types of things. And so also to know that while the SEC is claiming that all XRP are unregistered securities, they're allowing the co-founder to sell billions. Ripple continues to sell, but XRP holders in their retirement accounts is frozen in iTrust Capital and other institutions. It's frozen. Yeah, and I have thousands of XRP holders, and I've seen the email where they can't convert their XRP to Bitcoin or Ether or US dollars. It's frozen until the outcome of this case.
Really?
Yeah, it's awful. And imagine if you have a life-altering event and normally you don't want to access your retirement, right? But if you have a situation where you need that money, that capital, your mom gets in an accident, needs to go to a nursing home, you have some kind of disability issue, and you have $300,000 in your retirement tied up in XRP, you can't access it right now.
Wow. That is, I didn't know about that. That's crazy.
No.
So is that because those are like US funds, and because they're in a lawsuit, they cannot exchange the asset, or how would that work? You're just not able to.
Because basically they gave notice, iTrust Capital, much like Coinbase, when they delisted in the United States. Of course, I'm talking about United States.
I understand.
Holders. They said if you have until January 19th or 28th, whatever date it was of last year, to convert your XRP, sell it, do whatever you want with it. But as of that date, because the SEC is claiming it's a unregistered security, it's going to be locked up until we figure out what the outcome of the case is. And this is what I explain to people. I own Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, right? GBTC in a Charles Schwab retirement account. Right. I bought it when it was like $7, right? And so if it's at like 30 now. If Bitcoin were to go to 100,000 and it were to go, triple, I could sell some of it or all of it, and my retirement account would look nice, right? And I could take advantage of that gain without paying taxes. If XRP goes to $10 tomorrow, these people that are in their retirement accounts, they can't sell some of it and take advantage of it.
That's crazy.
Their property's been seized, and that's what's frustrating. The individual holder always takes it on the chin, man. It's just frustrating. If I knew that's I'm mesmerized for a little bit. I didn't know that at all, because I understand that they give you like an option
but I would expect it to be like you can't add anymore. You can always take it out, or you can always trade out of it. I would think. Oh, that's so crazy. But so you guys also have like a big list, right, of everybody who's complaining and everybody who has something against all of this. So can you explain a little bit more about the list that people want to sign up for and exactly how that
Yeah.
works?
Well, what we have is, if you go on my Twitter handle, it's pinned to my name on my Twitter feed, and it's a form you just fill in. We don't ask you what you own or any of that. It's just your contact saying, you give me an email, contact information that you want to be part of the class action against the SEC. International, right now we have 52% are US, 48% are international, right? It's something that hasn't been done, and to my knowledge, Dusty, there's over 100 countries in the 64,000 people. I mean, whether it's Guam or Nigeria or, I'm trying to think of an odd one you've never heard of, but I'm drawing a blank, but it's everywhere across the world. You know what I mean? And right now we're at 64,000, give or take, from all around the world. There's actually about 1,500 people who don't own XRP. They don't even like XRP. They just think that what the SEC is doing is outrageous, and they just want to be a part of the claim against them.
Really?
Which I admire. I admire that, right? It's like I've had a couple of people say, "Listen, I can't stand Ripple, and I can't stand Brad Garlinghouse, and this or that, but I can't stand the SEC more."
I understand that. That's funny though. So 64,000 now, and if you're not from the US, it's like just the same form, right? Because I see a lot of people asking me how they enter. Just to your Twitter at John E. Deaton.
Yeah, it's John E. Deaton 1. Right. So it's John E. Deaton and then the number 1. And it's pinned there. Anybody across the world.
And you don't have to own XRP. You don't have to be from the US, just to make it clear.
Right.
Okay. Very
most
interesting.
people, obviously, out of the 64,000, like 62,800, I think, have XRP. So it's predominantly XRP holders. But there have been some people in the comment section. You don't have to fill out comments, but in the comment section, people have put in words like, "Listen, I don't own XRP, but I'm rooting for XRP holders because I think what the SEC is doing is, unconscionable and wrong." And so, that's kind of cool because as tribalism exists in crypto.
Yeah,
right?
For sure.
You have, I've met XRP maxis, I've met Bitcoin maxis, Ether maxis. And so, I'm kind of a guy that just, I think there's going to be more than just one winner. I think there's going to be a handful of winners. And so, that doesn't mean, the 10,000 coins that exist are going to be here a year, 2 years, 5 years from now. But I'm not a maxi, that's for sure.
What do you know about the 589 XRP stuff? Like, I don't even know how long you've been a holder for XRP. Actually,
I own XRP. I've owned XRP since 2016.
Okay.
And I just know of the 589. I don't know how it started. I don't know like the origin of the 589. But I know I've seen many of the memes and things like that. You know what I mean? But I couldn't tell you if you were to ask me to articulate, how that 589 originated. I wouldn't know.
I understand. I don't ask that from you. I was just wondering if you're actually involved in any of the 589 or the $10,000 per XRP stuff. Because if we're talking tribalism, there's a lot of people who are on the edge of $35,000 per XRP that's coming. And in that sense, also, there's one question I see every time in the chat box is, what about a buyback?
Yeah, no, I've seen it, and I know that Jimmy Valley of Vayhill Capital. I know Jimmy. I've interviewed Jimmy. He's a good guy, very smart guy, former securities lawyer. He's made a proposal to the Fed that basically, Jimmy could explain it, but
I understand.
It's about the Fed buying back our XRP and trying to solve the U.S. debt crisis.
Mm-hmm.
And what I say is, listen, I'm old enough to say nothing's impossible,
Yeah,
but I would have to defer to people that know
I
much more
understand.
about the program than I do.
I understand. Yeah. Okay. But it's something I see so often. It's pretty funny. Another thing I see quite often is people asking if they can sue the SEC and they can do something themselves to combat. I don't know.
Yeah, it's very hard because the SEC, first you have to give notice. So anybody that's going to sue the SEC has to give them a notice. It's called
Heads
a
up.
95 notice. A heads up. You got to give them 6 months from the time you give them the notice to the time you sue them.
Okay.
But the SEC has it's sort of like a police officer, right? Police officers have this thing called qualified immunity, meaning that if a police officer makes a mistake while he's acting in the ordinary course of his job, you can't sue him,
Mm-hmm.
right? So if a cop makes a false arrest of me, and it was like this honest mistake, there's no bad motive, he didn't target me or something, then I really can't sue him, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of people say, now, we have a lot of evidence on conflicts of interest. We have a lot of appearances of impropriety, but what we really need is an independent investigation from someone who has the power of subpoena, and that means where you serve someone a subpoena and you can get emails and text messages and phone records, and you can get accounts where they have to identify all of their trading accounts and their addresses, right? What wallets they own. For example, when Bill Hinman gave the Ether Free Pass speech, the couple months before that, who bought ETH heavy, right?
Yeah.
And are they connected to Hinman? Did Hinman's law firm, did members of his partners, because I don't think Bill Hinman is stupid enough to do it himself, right? That's just would be blatantly stupid. But if your partners are buying 500,000 ETH on June 12th, 2 days before you give your speech, so there's things like that need to be done to find the smoking gun, or to find where there could be real misconduct. Right now, we just have this very strong circumstantial evidence case of wrongdoing.
Yeah.
But when you get emails and accounts, bank records, things of that nature, then you can really start figuring out if there was any criminal wrongdoing, right? Any bribes and insider trading and knowledge and stuff like that. And right now they're being quiet, as you can imagine. The Fox Business investigation, there have been no comments given and stuff like that. So, which I can't blame. If I was advising Joe Lubin, I'd probably tell him to not do any interviews.
I understand that one. Yeah, for sure. You talked just now about the bank accounts. We know that Brad and Chris Larson's bank accounts were asked for. I'm not sure. I think that was denied, actually, the personal access to the bank accounts.
Yep,
but
they were.
Regarding the deliberative process privilege, I mean, right now they're trying to get all the info from the at least I should say some info from the SEC. What are your thoughts about the DPP, and what if it gets denied? What happens to the case?
Well, I would be the bearer of bad news from my perspective, and that doesn't mean that my perspective is right, Dusty. But I think the DPP is the biggest issue in the case, right? And I say that because we have to assume, like, for example, a lot of people, you probably know this, but a lot of people don't. On June 13th, 2018, the day before the Hinman speech, there was an XRP Howey analysis done by the SEC enforcement lawyers. And there's a memo, is XRP a security or not a security, done by the SEC, right? Well, some people believe that if that analysis concluded conclusively that XRP is a security, the SEC would turn it over to Ripple, right? Because it helps the SEC. They have refused to turn it over to Ripple and claim deliberative process privilege. And so if it says that, hey, we're really going to have a hard time proving XRP is a security because of prong 2 or prong 3 of the Howey, then it's a game over. Certainly against the individuals, right? That's a big deal. Same thing with the Ether and the Bitcoin documents. If there's stuff in there that really helps Ripple and the judge orders that it has to be turned over, then I've said I could see a settlement within 90 days of that, of Ripple, of that decision, right? Now, to answer your question specifically, if the judge comes back and concludes that all the documents are privileged and all of the documents don't have to be turned over to Ripple, I think that we're headed for the full distance. I think that this case will be still going on in May. You know what I mean? Without question. Because then the SEC doesn't have to turn it over. There's no leverage, right? What's going to think about it, Dusty, what's going to make Gary Gensler sit back and say, you know what, we should probably settle, because if we get a ruling, it's going to put me out of business against the other cryptos, right? So that's how I look at it. And I think that Gary Gensler being worried that if he loses to Ripple, then that means he can't go after the other cryptos. He'd be out of business against cryptos, or against existing cryptos. There could come an ICO come along, and the SEC would still have jurisdiction, of course. But if you're talking about XLM and Cardano and Algo and all these other tokens that have been trading for years, he'd pretty much be whatever Ripple favored Ripple could arguably favor those other companies as well. And I think that's what it's going to take to get him to come to the table, right? To settle. So hopefully that decision could come down any minute from the judge. So I already thought it would have already been published, but I think Judge Netburn is taking very careful to write it, so that she knows that there's a good chance it could be appealed. And so she wants to dot her T's, dot her I's, cross her T's, and make sure it's kind of bulletproof, whether it's good for Ripple or bad for Ripple.
I understand that as well. I think as well with anything that's going on in this case, that will have some long-lasting effects. Even now, I guess partially due to this case, I think it's become more of an issue. That I believe it's, I guess, tell me if I'm wrong, Hester Peirce, who put up the idea of a 3-month period. Was it her that from the future on forward, she had a proposal where cryptos would have a 3-month grace period, basically, where you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I think it's a 3-year. I think
my bad. Yeah. 3-year. My I messed up.
No, that's fine.
Yeah.
I think, you're right. It was Hester Peirce, and she made a proposal, and it's really unfortunate that wasn't the approach taken, because
has it been denied?
Jay Clayton didn't implement it when he was there, and Gary Gensler, he hasn't even read it. He was asked at his congressional hearing testimony whether or not he's read Hester Peirce's Safe Harbor, and his answer was, "I've spoken with Commissioner Peirce." And then he's asked again, and he goes, I'm well aware of her proposal, but he wouldn't answer had he read it, because I don't think he did, because he's not interested in it, right? Because basically what it says is that these networks, platforms would have a period of time, 3 years, 18 months. You could always change the time. And that if you weren't, and then you establish certain benchmarks, right? Whatever those benchmarks of decentralization could be, whether it's a percentage of the validators or some other kind of metric that you would make to say, if you meet this metric at the end of 3 years, then you're blessed and you can move forward. And even though you may have been a security for the last 3 years, you're forgiven because we're doing this to foster technology and development and business. If you haven't reached this benchmark by this period of time, well, you're a security and you're going to have to register at the SEC. Basically, that's the most simplistic way to explain it.
But so we don't even know if there's any improvement or any betterment that's going to come. Because I mean, if he hasn't read it, then what can we do? It's too bad. Huh?
It's not gonna come under Gary Gensler. That's for sure. He has no interest in it. He has no interest in it because basically it would say we're gonna let, I think Gary Gensler wants to make a name for himself by saying he keeps bragging about enforcement, right? He goes, he just tweeted yesterday.
I saw it.
Right? About how enforcement is one of the pillars of how the SEC is supposed to. He takes pride in bringing these enforcement actions, and I think that there's more to come.
Wow. Do you actually think that some crypto will be sued whilst Ripple is in this lawsuit? Or do you think it will be only afterwards?
I think that I wouldn't be surprised if people have gotten notices already. There was a rumor that that 30 platforms, it was either 30 or 300, I can't remember to be honest, but there was a rumor that multiple platforms had received a notice from the SEC that they were starting to investigate them, right?
Wow.
And this all happened shortly after Coinbase was told that they were going to be sued if they went forward with their Lend product in the United States.
Okay, that could be interesting, I guess. I mean, I would say XLM is kind of like a close follow-up, but I would guess that one would have to wait until Ripple is over. Logic. Can you hear me, by the way? Sometimes you're like a little. I'm wondering if my sound is all good. You can hear me properly.
No,
right?
it's a little. Just in the last couple of minutes, there's a little of an echo. There's a bit of an echo and it cracks once in a while.
Okay, let's hope. Because is the crack heavy?
Fine, Ryan. Yeah. No, it's fine right now.
Okay, good. Otherwise, I would, otherwise, if my whole thing is messed up, because I can sometimes hear my own ear. That's like a. I hope it's good. Otherwise, we'll see what happens then. What I meant to say is,
well, if it's messed up, I'll come back and we can do it again. Don't worry about it. All right.
Yeah. Okay. Good. I wanted to say, I would think XLM would be that would do it after the Ripple lawsuit is over. No, wouldn't this make logical sense?
Oh, I think so. I think right now, I agree with you as far as bringing an actual enforcement action. Yes, but they brought the case against Library.
Yeah.
Also, so you have Library and you have Ripple. I'm talking about right now. I think that they're laying the groundwork for future ones. So if they settled with Ripple in a couple months, there could be some that come down right the next month. Right, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
true.
I agree with you. They probably don't want to spread themselves too thin by having too many simultaneously going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you mean they put in the groundwork. They make sure the notices are in so they can go to Pound Town once they. Okay.
Right.
Yeah. So in regards to Ripple on its own, what is the schedule looking like? Many people wondering about that. You just talked about May being like an end for it. What do you think the schedule is looking like right now? Because we just got a 1.5 month delay as well.
Yeah. Well, when I said May, I didn't mean to suggest that it would be the end. I was just saying that as a point of reference that if the DPP gets denied, we'll still be talking in May, June. I think that if summary judgment, if the judge could decide.
Could you actually go a step back and say, so right now we have expert discovery, and this was first going to last till January 14th, now February 28th.
Right. So February 28th, and what that means is the depositions of the experts. According to the last letter filed by the Ripple and SEC, by the end of tomorrow, 8 out of the 16 expert witnesses will have been deposed. And now they have 8 more to depose that they'll do over the next 6 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
After those depositions are done, then they would start working on the summary judgments, where the SEC files a summary judgment saying that they win and that XRP is a security, and Ripple would file a summary judgment saying that they win, XRP is not a security. XRP holders would file a summary judgment, declaratory judgment saying secondary market, XRP is clearly not a security. We need that ruling for us. And then the judge would decide one way or the other. That, I think, is certainly looking at April at the earliest. Okay. And if the judge decides that, it's possible the judge could decide that a jury is ultimately has to decide certain facts. If that happens, then I'm afraid we're into late summer. You know what I mean? Because then you're looking at a jury trial with witnesses, and that would take 3 weeks of a trial, and the trial probably wouldn't be until July or August. And so literally September could come along and we'd still be involved. I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm just saying that it's going to be interesting on how the judge rules. The judge could rule that as a matter of law, Ripple did not get fair notice. Yeah. And that XRP is not a security. Mm-hmm. Right. And that today is sufficiently decentralized, the network, and it's not a security. And case is over. Or she could decide there are certain factors that a jury must decide, because she decides the law and the jury decides the facts. And that's possible. I know that Jeremy Hogan thinks that it's unlikely. I think he's going to come out with a video soon where he goes over what we're talking about. I think he favors the summary judgment is going to end it. Mm-hmm. And I kind of lean toward that, but also think that it's possible a jury might have to decide certain facts.
So what would then be so again, to kind of numb it down a little bit, what's like a worst case? You have a little bit.
Worst case scenario for everything would be that we're still don't have final resolution until late summer, early fall as the worst case scenario. Best case scenario is that we win on DPP, and within the next 90 days they come to a settlement.
Okay, that's but that's best case though. So a lot of people actually talk about best case being the SEC withdraws their suit. I'm gonna say I think that's bad, because then we don't have clarity. What's the what do you think about that? The SEC withdrawing the case?
I agree with you, because I actually in March I said that was my biggest fear. As each day passes, it becomes less likely. But if the SEC theoretically could go to the judge and say, we've decided to dismiss this case, and Ripple could argue that they shouldn't be allowed and that Ripple wants the judge to make a ruling on certain things, but ultimately the judge could say that they have, it's like a separation of powers, the judicial branch versus the executive branch. She could say that it's outside of her power to force the SEC to continue to prosecute, but the only thing she could do is award Ripple lawyer fees, right? Okay. Or attorney's fees and things of that nature. So theoretically, it could happen. I think the SEC would have so much egg on its face that they probably wouldn't, and would negotiate a settlement, right? Where they could go to Ripple and say, listen, pay $100 million fine, and we'll give you clarity. And Gary Gensler can get up and brag that he collected $100 million and we sent a message and we won, and make me U.S. Treasury Secretary, whatever else he wants, right?
The next step.
Right.
Okay. It's funny though, that one. I've been thinking about that a lot, about some new rules coming in as well. Like, for example, what if I just read that the Federal Reserve, I think, is going to release a new paper on CBDC and stablecoin pretty soon as well, a couple weeks. He's been saying that for a couple months, by the way. But what if some new rule comes out? And because right now we just talked about the SEC withdrawing because of their own maybe mind. What if some new rules come out from another perspective? Is that possible even that some crypto rules come out?
It's possible, but it's unlikely only because it would require Congress to introduce a bill. It gets passed by the House, gets passed by the Senate, it gets signed by the president, right? And
Okay.
so I hope that would happen.
Okay.
And it could greatly impact the suit, but the chances of the Republicans and the Democrats and getting enough to vote, and the Democrats are in charge of the House, and right now they seem to be anti-crypto.
Okay.
And so we'll see. And so I know there's a lot on Twitter right now of people hoping that happens because they saw that Tom Emmer said he's going to introduce some legislation, but introducing a bill, it does not mean it's going to get voted.
It's going to get,
right?
Yeah, I understand.
And so Congress just moves so slow that I'm not optimistic.
What was Tom Emmer's new bill about? Because I read it yesterday, but I already kind of forgot about it a little bit. Do you remember?
I didn't read it. I just know that it's about, he wants to prevent the Fed from issuing a CBDC that directly pays citizens because of privacy issues.
I remember.
Basically, he's making a comparison to what they're doing in China, with the digital yuan, and that it's a way to track people and their payments and all of that. And so he's trying to prevent that. A lot of people think that his bill is good for Bitcoin and good for crypto because it would dissuade CBDCs for private people, for individuals.
What do you think about the big infrastructure bill? Because you just said the newest house, I don't know if you call it that way, is a little bit anti-crypto. What do you think about the bill, the infrastructure?
I think that the infrastructure bill proved how powerful the crypto voting block's going to be, right?
Okay.
Because I think that in the United States, I think that if you're anti-crypto, you're going to run into some serious problems because,
For sure.
And unfortunately, and I'm an independent, sometimes I vote Republican, sometimes I vote Democrat, I'm not like, but I am going to be like, I always said I wouldn't be a one issue person, right? But I think I am a one issue person. If you're against blockchain technology and crypto and digital assets, I'm not voting for you. And I'm actually going to try to get you voted out. So
yeah, I understand that.
But anyways.
But about the bill specifically, what do you think will have? Because I know it comes out and it will be 2024. Even in that sense, the U.S. that's slow. If you have an infrastructure bill, and it takes 3-ish years for things to take effect. But do you know if they can? Because I've read, right, but I don't speak to a lawyer every day. They can put up a new bill to kind of counter that, or do that? How can you cancel it out again?
We have till 2024 when that broker language, which would impact DeFi greatly. We have basically a year to get that voted out and amended. What you would do is just pass a bill that amends the definition, and then you redefine it in a way that doesn't hurt the industry. And so if pro-crypto candidates get in office in the House and the Senate, then that's something that could happen. But yeah, it's also there's when they pass a bill, like when Trump was in office, they passed a bill that raised the death tax, meaning that they tax you only after a certain level. It used to be like $5 million, anything above 5 million, the government take 40%. And then they raised it to 11 million, but that sunsets in 2025. So in
Okay.
2025, it's going to go back to the old version unless someone changes it and extends it. So they do that constantly, where they like kick the can for a year or two, and then you have to redo it, just before it expires or what have you.
You just told me, by the way, about GBTC. What are the other cryptos that you're excited about, or just hold in general?
I own Bitcoin, I own Ethereum, I own XRP, I own
You own
I own some,
XRP, really?
yes, I own
Oh,
XRP. I own Algo,
okay, nice.
some XLM, some Quant,
Mm-hmm.
and I have to look at my phone, man. I forget.
It's all good. A good bag already,
But,
I guess.
well, yeah, my problem is I'm trying to like not own so many cryptos, like, and I think I own like 15. And I'm trying to like I used to do it like stocks, where I'm thinking, I should only own like 5 or 6 stocks, but it's so hard. But yeah, I own some Avi, I own a little Matic, Solana, Cardano, some Tezos. So those are about it, though.
I understand.
I think I do have on Uphold. I have some a little bit of sand, a little bit of mana too. You know what I mean? But I'm most heavily in the top 3.
I understand.
When I say top 3, I meant I got in 2016, so it was Bitcoin, Ether, and
Ethereum,
XRP.
XRP. I understand that one. That's my honest top 3 as well, man. I whenever I think of the top 3, I always think of XRP, Bitcoin, and ETH. Like that's
Yeah.
our view has just changed, because I don't even know what top 3 BNB. What is
Yeah,
top 3 now?
yeah. I don't own BNB, and I kick myself, right? Why don't I own it? But you can't. But I don't own it. But yeah, it's in the top. It's in the top 3 for sure now.
Can you not buy it in the US, BNB?
Yeah, I just it's not on Coinbase, and it's not on Uphold, and those are only 2 exchanges that I've been using, to be honest with you. I need to expand, like and maybe broaden
Kraken
out,
or so? What is
Kraken.
the US Kraken?
There's Binance USA, Kraken, Coinbase, Uphold, BitTrue, Crypto.com.
Oh yeah.
So there's
Voyager, I've heard
definitely
about stuff.
Voyager. Yeah, I hear Voyager, Avalanche. I hear is a good. I have my eyes on a couple others, but
Do
it's
anything in terms of staking / yield farming? Anything?
I haven't, to be honest with you. It's
No.
something that I should probably do, but
It's one thing I tell. Yeah, go on.
No, I was just gonna say. I was gonna ask you. What about you?
I mean, yeah, it's my stuff. I do.
That's your
a
thing,
lot.
right?
But I wanted to even comment on the bag risk. One discussion I have so often, and I have so many people calling me up about this as well, is I don't give financial advice. Let's put
Right.
one thing down here. But let's put that really clearly to anybody watching. Not financial advice. But I always recommend against holding 1, 2, 3. And whenever I look at some of the bigger YouTubers, some of the bigger guys, even Plan B, they usually advocate for, hey, we go for only Bitcoin. It was the original crypto that has a mission versus made aside to have a specific purpose, but it's not the original. I understand where he's coming from. I understand where he's coming from. I get the picture, and I, from a certain perspective, respect their decision. I think that's one way of thinking. And the second way of thinking is either this is like goes 1-on-1, which is to maximize the money that you can make with the cryptos, or maximize the basically, there's going to be utility, there's going to be adoption of different cryptos anyway. So you maximize the effect, basically. You invest in that, or you invest in whatever is going to get the maximum amount of effect. Let's put it like that. And from that perspective, if you put all your money into, let's say, 3 things, right? I've had that before, even with XRP right now. Let's say any person bought XP 6th of January, right after the big bull, or even 5th, 4th. You're sitting on a big bag right now that's down 50, 60%, 70, 75%, maybe 66%, whatever.
Yeah.
In 4 years. If you'd only spread that a little bit, you'd be way better off. Point being, even if you pick 3, there's a very good chance that you might just pick wrong. I guess the more coins you pick, the higher of a chance you're going to have some gems in the midst. And I personally think there's so many good ones. You can't say, why one is really better than the other. We all know 95% of the coins will really go bad, most likely. But like you just said, Algorand, I think is a really beautifully built crypto. XP is good. And I like to kind of structure different baskets. I have like a fundamentally good coins basket. XRP is in there, VeChain is in there. You have a DeFi basket, kind of guess which coins are in there. There's a exchange token basket, and then there's a metaverse one. Metaverse because the sector is glowing up so much. But I honestly think maybe pick like 20 crypto in those 4 baskets. I guess how many pick, each one depends. I think overall you have a better return. It's like it's like with the S&P. You'd rather go for the S&P sometimes than individual stocks because you might just be worse off at the end of the day. You can pick some, but yeah, what if you had a bad 3 years? You know, you're sitting on -10 instead of +30.
Absolutely.
And generally speaking, whenever I tell people that, they look into it and like, yeah, makes a lot of sense. I just don't understand why you'd want to go for only 3 crypto or so, but many people do.
Yeah.
I guess you already have a good bag, right? You have a lot of them already.
Yeah. No, I just don't have a lot of time to look into some others that I have like in my head that I want to look into and I've heard about, but
Like the AVEX and stuff.
Yeah, and I need to educate myself more on the metaverse, you know what I mean, and what opportunities are there. You know, looking at the projections that people are making, you know, $1 trillion a year that they're talking about at some point being a market in the metaverse where that kind of money is going through. So I need to get my head around it, right? I'm struggling a little bit with the digital world and buying land in the metaverse. It's something I'm interested in. I just need to sit down and really educate myself on what's the best opportunities and the best plays in the metaverse. You know what I mean? From a financial
kind of comment on that one
standpoint.
Want to say buying land is it's a, you know, if you have a lot of money, I guess going for like some of the bigger ones, it's more certainty, right? The lower you go, the higher the risk. And I'm going to be honest with you, there's a lot of ones where I'm thinking right now, I get a lot of offers to get land on the, you know, before a lot of other people can get it. But I've never taken it because I'm just like, it relies so much on that project getting some crazy adoption. So hard to say. With the sand, with the mana, the ones that are so big, you're basically buying something that Adidas is buying, some of the major companies are. Otherwise, you're just going to speculate fully. And with Metaverse, it's so small. You have no idea. Even I don't know which of these projects will actually pop off. And otherwise, you're paying so much for a plot of land. But that's a whole different topic altogether. You just said I need to look into it further. Even I look into it almost every single day because I believe Metaverse is going to be one of the easiest ways to, I don't want to say make money in crypto. Let me rephrase that. It's going to be one of the most crazy sectors over the next couple of years because it's really, if you look at Google Trends, upward sloping. If you look at Meta, obviously Facebook, it's going to keep expanding. They're not going to sit around. Meta's not going to joke around and be like, oh, no, we made Meta, but that's it. We're going to. And right now, if you check the charts, all the metaverse coins went crazy the moment that they changed their name. What happens the next time they make a crazy announcement? My thoughts. Right?
No, you're right.
Most.
No, you're right. Absolutely.
And in regards to staking, I think in the US, one of the easiest ways might be crypto.com or Voyager. It just depends on how safe you find the protocol. And if you like the website, the exchange, you think it's safe, it might always be worth it to just stake a good amount because it's passive income, it's free stuff. And I can highly recommend for at least looking into it properly because that's the easiest money, you know, where you don't have to work for it.
No, you're right. No, you're right.
And I've been also bothered by the thing on the back. What is that thing on the you have in the background, the little trophy on the top?
Oh, the top. That's my Marine Corps K-bar, a knife. For the Marine Corps. When I got out of the Marine Corps, the Marines in a farewell party, they get you a ceremonial knife from the Marine Corps from the olden days of the Marine Corps. Sort of like they call it a K-bar, sort of like a field utility knife utensil that you would use for whatever reason. And so it just has like my name and rank inscripted, and it's a little plaque that says, good luck in your post-Marine Corps career.
It's pretty cool. And I guess to put a last question up, which is in regards to Joe Rogan. I've seen everybody talk about that over on the Twitters. So what's the deal with that?
I listen. A bunch of XRP holders got together. The guy Scott, I think he was the first one, which is XRP Army is his Twitter handle. He said that because of Joe Rogan's obviously his audience, man, the eyes. It's like, let's get Deaton on that show, especially after the Patrick Bet David podcast, and so there's been this movement. I would love to be on Joe Rogan's show. I think that Joe's someone who's not afraid to talk truth to power and like expose governmental things. And so I think if he could look into it, or his producers actually looked into it, there's a really good story here. I mean,
True.
You know, when I filed the action against the SEC, they attacked me personally. If you read the documents, they actually said that I was promoting drug use and violence and right, because I made a joke on a video where I played a caption of My Cousin Vinny where the judge goes, "Are you on drugs?" And I make a comment in my video saying, I might need some at the end of this or something. And so I make that joke, right? And they're like, he's promoting drugs.
They gotcha.
Right. And I made a mock cross-examination of Jay Clayton having fun, where I was looping. He kept saying, if it's a security, we're gonna regulate. If it's a security, we're gonna regulate. And they were like, what's a security? If it's a security, we're gonna regulate. Yeah, but define the security. If it's security, we're gonna regulate. And so I made a comment, just, man, if you say that one more time, I might have to slap shit out of you, right? Something like that as a joke. And they're like, I've threatened the personnel of the SEC. It's like, oh my God, you know, have you never seen satire and exaggerated? I'm just trying to, you know, have a little fun. I mean, say it's not funny, you're probably right. But to say I'm actually going to threaten this guy is pathetic. But that's kind of where our government is, right? You can't attack the message, you attack the messenger. And it's funny.
That's pretty funny though.
It's funny because at 4:00 before they released their answer, I tweeted out, I guarantee if they can't attack the message, they will attack the messenger. And an hour later, their paper came out attacking me, right? And so it's so predictable. But no, it'd be great because Joe has such a reach. You know what I mean? That
for sure.
That I think
number one podcast.
Yeah, we just want eyeballs on it, right? And the more eyeballs that we get on all of this, then it increases a chance of Department of Justice or the banking committee that oversees the SEC asking for an investigation into these conflicts and into these appearances, and it should happen, because I keep saying this, and I know I sound like a broken record, but when the appearance of impropriety is so great, so high, that it destroys the public's confidence in the governmental agency, then it might as well be the actual impropriety, right? The appearance is so bad, you need to investigate it to prove that you're a worthwhile, trustworthy agency of the people. So it's in the SEC's best interest to ultimately investigate these things so that they can say that they police themselves, right?
I understand. But then what would our easiest entry be into that? Because I just told you before, I think Keemstar, I know he's an XRP guy, he might, with his 3 million follower reach, he might be the easiest entry in, because otherwise, how do you reach out to Joe Rogan? How do you get that done?
No, I know that there's some form on his website people have been filling out.
Okay.
And so next time I see it, I'll tag you in it. Maybe you can tag your audience and whatnot, or tweet it out. What are the chances of getting on Joe? Probably slim. You know what I mean? But doesn't hurt trying, man.
I want to say you shouldn't underestimate, because there's 64-ish thousand people who are against this. It's a pretty big social conflict, SEC involved, with the audience that he has. The people who like the controversies, like the scarier underlying truth. It is indeed a specific niche, I think, that his people would be interested in. Even I, if I didn't know you, I didn't know the cause, I would watch and be like, huh, yeah, that is interesting. Oh, wow. I didn't know too much about crypto, but the conflict of interest. And you're right. If once they start thinking, once the eyebars start rolling, people cannot say that this is all like a crazy conspiracy, crazy. There's facts on cryptolaw.co. What's the website officially?
Yeah, it's crypto-law, cryptolaw.us. And it has all the video library, it has the document library. If you want to read anything on this case, it's on there. And we just lay out the timeline as well. And then I have a blog on there that lays out all the conflicts as well.
I've read it. I'm not going to say I've read everything. Let's say about maybe 60%, maybe something like that. I get the gist of it, I would say. You can't say that it's just somebody put some things together and it looks like a narrative. There's no way about that.
Right.
From that perspective, I think as well, Joe's producers or the guys look in. Honestly, I think you have a pretty good shot because it's such a, well, you wouldn't think that from the SEC story. It's just about whether or not we can actually get the right person to read it, though, right?
That's all it takes.
And most likely
get the right guy.
And what if he has time, but it's May, June or some, when everything is already, that could also be. All right, John, I think I've actually asked anything that I wanted to. I tried to put in as many community questions as possible. I hope that I did not let anybody down, not answering or getting that question in. I've been filtering for many hours. I actually have another person close by. He's been checking with me through everything to make sure we don't get the ridiculous questions in as well. But a lot of the questions I think we all asked, everything was just, what's the next step? What's the next step? I think we covered that. Next most step was that we get these expert discovery phase over, then heading over into summary judgment, and then maybe end, and then otherwise potentially the jury, which might take a longer time. End result, like a worst case scenario, it's going to be end summer, beginning of fall, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
And we're going to try get even more signatures, get on to Joe Rogan. And John, can you quickly tell your socials to the people once more?
It's Twitter is John E. Deaton 1. Again, you want to join the thing, you can go to my Twitter handle, it's pinned there, and then crypto CRIPTO-law.us. Crypto-law.us. Yeah.
Is it? You sure it's crypto? But what's the Twitter handle for that?
The Twitter handle is crypto-law.us.
Okay, so people will be able to find it. I'll make sure to also tag it down below so you guys can join that little petition. Indeed, John E. Deaton 1 over on Twitter. And yeah, you guys, I see it now. It's very easy to find. It's just a pinned little tweet. Fill it in if you guys want to participate as well. If you think it's unfair, then make sure you shoot him by a little follow if you think it was interesting. All right, John. Thank you very much for stopping by.
All right.
And saying hi. And hopefully talk to you soon.
All right. See you later, Dusty.